This next song is Joyful, Joyful. In Joyful, Joyful, we're going to learn a few new things. One of them is a quarter note that has a dot next to it. A dot next to any kind of note adds half of the value of that note. So we know that a quarter note is equal to 1 beat. So if we take half of that value and add it to that quarter note, now it is 1 1/2 beats long. Generally, at this stage, what will follow a dotted quarter note is the remaining half a beat, which is an eighth note. So you'll see, and I played a half note after the dotted quarter, eighth note, half note. And so it's 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. So that's one new thing. This next part isn't new, but I want to call your attention to the eighth notes on the third line. These are not single eighth notes like the one we just played with the dotted quarter. These are 2 eighth notes in a row. And there were quarter notes on either side of those. So that goes with our practice tip, which is to find the spots that might give you a little difficulty and play those first. There's one more new thing, and it's a type of repeat. You're very familiar with a repeat sign now, but this type of repeat sends you back somewhere other than the beginning of the music, but does not have you repeat the entire section. You go back to what's called the sign, or dal segno, which is Italian for the sign. So go to dal segno and play until it says fine. You might see that word as fine, but it's pronounced fine because it's Italian for finished. So at the end of this song you see DS al fine, which translates to the sign until finished. So that sign is on the second line of the music, and then you are finished at the end of the second line. So play line 1, 2, 3, go back to the sign on line 2, and play to the end of that line where it says finished. The left hand is just playing thirds and seconds. Nothing else new. So let's focus on dotted quarter eighth, 2 eighth notes, and dal segno al fine. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you were listening closely, you would have heard that I made a mistake. And I just want to point out again that mistakes are going to happen no matter how good you are at something. You are going to make mistakes. If the song is going really well and you don't need to go back and isolate those sections, just keep going, because you'll know that you made that mistake and you'll see if you can correct it the next time. So here we go again. This is Joyful, Joyful. 1, 2, 3, 4. I should offer a prize if you can figure out where I made a mistake in that particular run through, because there was one mistake. I'm going to play this for you one more time. See if you can play along this time. And I'll slow it down just a little. 1, 2, 3, 4. See how practicing several times makes a big difference? By the third time I played that, there were no mistakes. Just a quick history note. This song was written by Ludwig van Beethoven. It was his last symphony, and it was in the fourth movement. And this had a choir singing in it for the first time in history. There was, in a symphony, a choir singing. Another note is, by this time in his life, he was deaf, so Beethoven never actually physically heard this piece being played. And in that movement of that Ninth Symphony, it's done several different tempos. So any tempo you choose really wouldn't be incorrect. It goes all the way from andante to vivace. For our purposes, moderato is fine. And that is Joyful, Joyful, or Beethoven's Ninth Symphony.